Aloha to Wuhan, the capital of Hubei province here in China, a province that is now fully recovered after the COVID pandemic, a province that we're about to explore in this episode of Charming China. Hello, welcome. I'm Greg Granger. Exploring Hubei province means taking to cruise boats as we sail up the formidable Yangtze River. Our final destination, the Three Gorges Dam, the world's biggest dam with cultural experiences aplenty en route. We'll spend time with the cultural minority group, the Tuja people. We'll visit a huge archaeological site where live horses and their chariots were buried in sacrificial ceremonies. And we'll experience the changing face of Chinese entertainment, from the traditional to the new wave of TikTokers entertaining audiences across China. Wuhan certainly wows at night as a citywide light show illuminates skyscrapers in the same colour, then switches to a new colour every few seconds. It's dazzling and it's impressive as I encounter on a cruise along China's formidable Yangtze River with my guide for the next few days, Zhang Pei. We are on the Yangtze River.
Exactly. The Yangtze River and its biggest tributary Hanjiang River meet here in Wuhan and divides the city of Wuhan into three sections, namely Wuchang, Hankou and Hanyang.
This synchronous symphony of lights is an all-year-round affair, a stunning spectacle visible from all over the city. So what do you think, Zhao?
I think they make our city brighter and more beautiful, as you can see.
It's such a dazzling display, the Great Wuhan Light Spectacle. Next morning, we're back on the shores of the Yangtze to watch how the locals embrace China's biggest river. There's the kite flyers. Now there's some seriously big kites being flown today. And there's the swimmers. It's a powerful, fast-flowing current they're dealing with. And quite often one of them will get into trouble, which is why Wuhan boasts its own lifesavers.
And the rescue team was founded in 2010 and now it has more than 2,000 volunteers.
2,000 volunteers. And what about number of rescues? How many people have been rescued?
More than 200 people.
It appears singing is one pleasure that the elderly locals in Wuhan revel in. This group is made up of retired men and women who meet for 2 hours every single day of the week. And the name of the group?
The Choir of the Snake Hill.
Choir of the Snake Hill, and they are singing a very significant song here today.
Yes, they're singing I Love You, My Country, China.
I Love You, My Country, China, and this is a national song or a...
It's a song well known nationwide.
Another activity that has gained a lot of popularity in recent years with elderly couples is public dancing. Retired men and women take to plazas and parks to exercise and socialise, a practice that has its roots in ancient Chinese history. The central landmark of Wuhan that attracts big numbers of Chinese visitors is the Yellow Crane Tower, a tower that has been rebuilt a number of times since the first tower back in the year 223. Zhang Pao, the Yellow Crane Tower, certainly very popular.
Yes, it's always crowded of tourists. The Yellow Crane Tower has a long and complicated history. The current structure here was built up in 1981. The Yellow Crane Tower has gone through wars and has been collapsed and has revived several times.
Photographing friends at the Yellow Crane Tower is a must-do for visitors, with many choosing to dress up for the occasion. There's also a famous poem titled The Yellow Crane Tower, written in the 8th century by the poet Xu Hao, and recited today by tower guide Zhao Nin.
The stage on Yellow Crane was gone amid clouds white. To what avail is Yellow Crane Tower left here?
The Yellow Crane Tower was first built as a military watchtower during the time of Three Kingdoms period, about 1,800 years ago.
At the top of the tower, an impressive collection of wall paintings depicting the culture and history of the Yangtze River and the Yellow Crane Tower. Our final minutes at the tower is spent watching a performance by local entertainers, a dance that takes over the entire forecourt. One distinctive passion the residents of Wuhan have is for their breakfast snacks, with a premier location for that, Hubu Lane. So what is this street?
The Hubu Lane is very famous for Wuhan breakfast and snacks. It's only 158 meters long, but it has 44 traditional shops providing iconic Wuhan breakfast and snacks.
Among the dishes, hot, dry noodles, a dish eaten by almost everyone every day in Wuhan. So what's happening?
The lady is making hot, dry noodles. He put a kind of alkaline noodles into the boiling water for 5 seconds, and then put them out and add the sesame paste, the soy sauce, the green onions, and everything's ready. Mix them together, and if you can also have the spicy sauce if you like.
And so the final product, hot, dry noodles. Now this is something you have every day.
Yes, it's what Wuhan people growing up eating.
And what do you think?
I think the taste is simple but strong, much like the characteristic of Wuhan people.
That's it.
Passionate and frank.
Hot, dry noodles for breakfast, ahead of a taste of Wuhan history. One major historic event that occurred here in Wuhan is commemorated by this museum. On October 10, 1911, the Wuchang Uprising that started here led to the collapse of China's 2,000-year-old long feudalism and the establishment of the Chinese Republic, the first republic in Asia. Righto, a very symbolic site we've got here.
Yes, it's the memorial of the 1911 revolution.
That revolution was the start of modern China.
Exactly. The 1911 revolution led to the collapse of the ruling of Qing dynasty and opened a new gate of a democratic republic society of China.
From the Uprising Museum, we travel east to a major lake. One waterway that Wuhan can be proud of is having China's largest urban lake, East Lake. Its circumference is more than 100 kilometres and has become very popular with tourists and locals.
We'll come here with my family. We take a stroll along the river and it's really great.
Part of the park celebrates the Chu culture, an integral part of Chinese civilization some 2,500 years ago. Another waterway south of Wuhan irrigates big rice paddies. These overlook the brightly painted village of Gaochao, whose houses have been decorated with colourful village scenes. It also has a famous covered bridge, a bridge where locals gather every day to socialise and hear their talented neighbours perform. There's a folk sports activity, literally meaning the beating of sticks. Folk songs relating to historic local stories are sung with relish. While this group of ladies give a high-energy performance on the drums. The performers of Gaochao, even reaching the ears of these two water-bound water buffaloes. We're catching the high-speed train now from Wuhan down to the ancient city of Jingzhou. For the next 2 hours, we'll whiz through the countryside of Hubei province at speeds of around 200 kilometres an hour. It's always a relaxing trip on this, the largest high-speed train network in the world. Quite impressive, considering the network was only built over the past 15 years. Transport of a slightly slower kind is heading up the Yangtze River on our arrival in Jingzhou. The Yangtze River is the principal navigable waterway in China, a vital and intensive cargo and passenger route along its 2,700 kilometre length. Throughout Jingzhou, much smaller waterways lace the city, attracting morning exercise groups to its shores. It's here that I observed the local custom of having a drink of alcohol before work. They're treating breakfast as a festival and have brewed their own beverage, highly potent rice wine. My guide for Jingzhou is Xingsheng Li. Okay, so this is the morning ritual.
Yeah.
And it's an old practice that came from the wars. When it was so cold, people would start to drink this alcohol first thing in the morning to warm them up for the day.
Yeah, you can actually picture this, right? I'm like a worker working at the pier, right?
Yep.
Just like a chilly, very chill, like winter days. I wake up, I feel like very kind of sleepy, right?
Yes.
I have a lot of work to do. So drink a kind of like a cup of baijiu
Yes.
to warm my body up, and I feel
Right.
very like full of energy after we drink it.
One prominent feature in Jingzhou is the city wall. Given that the current wall was built in 1646, the wall, gates, towers and battlements are all well preserved. So Jingzhou was originally protected by a wall just like this.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, the wall original built about 1800 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was first built with soil, right? Around like 1100 years ago, they would rebuild it with the bricks. Actually, the one currently standing on is rebuilt in around the Ming-Qing dynasty, which is about 300 to 600 years ago.
And of course, gaps in this wall that would have been used to fire arrows to protect the villagers.
Exactly. Or with these narrows, we're trying to keep away from the enemy, right? So we shoot arrows at them to keep safe for the people living inside the city. And the actual Great Wall is divided in 3 layers. The outer layer is the river mold, and the second one is the one we're standing on it, and the third layer is actually the soil mold next to it.
The area below the city walls is known as the Ancient City, an area that has a history of 2,000 years. It's an area that's reputed to be the cradle of Chu culture, and these days houses artistic professionals like Wang Shuzhen, a master embroiderer. Well, thank Miss Wang for coming out today and showing us her embroidery skills. How has she been doing this?
您从事这个刺绣工作多少年了？
我从事这个刺绣大概有20多年了。
Around 20 years.
So she's been doing it for 20 years, and this is a very ancient art form as I understand it. This goes right back to the Chu dynasty,
Yes.
back to the rule of Chu.
So its culture can trace all the way back to 2,000 years ago. So one of the very special techniques they use is called log needles. They use the needle along the soil and make the color block very special and stand out. So that's very special technique they have been using for a long time.
This hand embroidery is so admired, samples are sent to art exhibitions all over the world. Our time in the ancient city of Jingzhou brings us to the end of the day as we prepare as the city come alive at night. It's Saturday night down on Yangtze Pier, and the crowds have turned out for an evening of entertainment. Kids on illuminated toy carts, fireworks. This is how many of Jingzhou's population of 5 million people enjoy a cultural hotspot, a place that was once a shipping wharf. Blood banks, well, you can donate blood on your fun night out. It's not just the people of Jingzhou who are entertained here tonight. All of China can tune in thanks to a number of live feeds on TikTok. From the latest trends in food to outright entertainment, meet Li Chenja singing her heart out for her 783,000 followers. Jingzhou's Yangtze Pier, prelude to a big day out tomorrow as we head out of the city. Out of Jingzhou, we inspect 2 major sites. The first, a diversion dam, built to divert waters from the Yangtze River in times of serious flood. They were on the north gate.
Yes.
This diversion here has not been used since, what, 1954?
1954. It was originally built in 1952. Yeah, it was the first Chinese water conservance project.
And so now we've got the Three Gorges Dam, which has been built to alleviate flooding.
Yeah.
Is this likely to be used again?
Most likely not, but we can't risk. We have a 500 million people live down there, so we have to make sure we have to have this as a backup plan.
The other major site has international archaeologists in awe. We've arrived at one of the world's most amazing and large archaeological sites. Now here is the tomb of an emperor, Emperor Chu, buried some 2,400 years ago. Not only his tomb, but over the back here, horses and chariots that were buried alive. Let's check them all out. This is indeed an imposing tomb complex. Sacrificial tombs, chariot pits, the richest of archaeological remains from the Eastern Zhou dynasty that ruled here from 770 to 256 BC. Tomb guide Mao Zerui is showing me around today. How many tombs have we got around here?
We got 116 tombs around this space.
And you've been excavating since what, 2006?
Yes.
And what have you found? Apart from the tombs, what have you found?
We found the King Shu's servants and the chariots and the horses. That was amazing.
Many archaeologists believe this site is every bit as important as the terracotta warriors of Xi'an, in that the horses here were buried alive, whereas the terracotta warriors were statues. This collection also predates the terracotta army by more than 100 years. This certainly is a major archaeological site, with formal excavation beginning in 2006. What's on display is a sacrifice pit, the horses and chariots laid to rest in honour of the emperor. So how many horses, how many chariots have been buried here?
We got 43 chariots and
Yes.
165 horses were buried here.
So these are the ones that have been covered around about 2006, 2009. These are the ones that have been uncovered, but there'd be a lot more here as well.
Yes, we got so many pieces in this museum, and today we're going to show you how it looks like.
Sculpted horses and chariots on display give a hint of the warring nature of these people 2,500 years ago. King Chu had this massive chariot for his life and for the afterlife.
Yes, they were buried down there because they believe in another life. They still need all these soldiers, all these horses, all these chariots.
The archaeological wonders of Hubei province. Truly an impressive historical record of a nation at war so long ago. Back in Jingzhou, we visit the museum to inspect another mummified miracle. On display is the mummified body of a man known as Su, buried in a tomb some 2,200 years ago on a mountain near Jingzhou. His clothes and shoes are on display near his mummified body.
Yeah, his coffin actually have 3 layers, and each layer was covered with clay, and it was sealed with clay, and then they have like antibacterial liquid inside. So that's the reason it's so well preserved. And his coffin is buried down below the ground about 10 meters.
Finally in Jingzhou, a look at China's evolving world of entertainment. We start off backstage as performers prepare for an old world traditional performance. Well, Lee, it's so wonderful of these performers to all turn out like this.
Yeah.
They've got the most beautiful, the most exquisite makeup here.
Yeah.
How long have they taken to prepare for these performances?
So 表演一般要就是准备工作时长一般要多久？包括化妆、换服装。
1个半小时。
About an hour and a half.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is beautiful, and they are performing for local culture, they're performing for the local community.
I've been performing this for over 30 years, so they're definitely like expert performers.
Okay, and they're keeping the culture alive, the local dialect. How different is the local dialect?
Yes, they sing the opera with the local dialect, right? So they keep the cultures in the show, so we can see through it.
And then it's showtime. The Flower Drum Opera. Regarded as such an important tradition, they've set up an art research institute to preserve the culture and the dialect. From the old and traditional to the new face of Chinese entertainment, we're at Jingzhou's Fangtai theme park. And we're about to relive some of the Chu culture of 2,400 years ago.
Exactly, sir.
With a show.
Yeah, we're gonna have a show, and the show is a stage performance that combines Chu's culture and customers. And we have like around 70 actors will be on the show. It will be fabulous. So.
Inside the theme park's theatre, there's a world-class performance. They call it the Chu Opera, in reference to the Chu dynasty 2,500 years ago, but the actual performance is ultra-modern, using 1,000 bells and a highly mechanised routine to interact with the performers. We farewell Jingzhou as we prepare for our next episode, travelling further up the Yangtze River to the world's biggest dam, the Three Gorges Dam, and experiencing the local ethnic culture along the way.